Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Abhayam. The evening twilight, the time, the worship, special worship to the deities. We have sung powerful Nama of Bhagwan and offered it to the solstice. It's a huge grace, and let us appreciate it and celebrate it. Now, we have to see again another glimpse the experience of the devotees. I remember once in Salem going to the place of Sri Periyavar Amamurthy. He had an ashram there at the time, and I happened to go there. He was very, very loving, kind. He welcomed me with love. And after a session of blessings, he gave me a tape, what you call a cassette in those days. Said it contained a conversation, a session of Bhagwan with them. That they had gone to Tiruvannamalai with Sri Perumal Rajvariya and Srimati Mahalakshmi. They had taken up a room near the temple. And Bhagwan had come to see them there. And during the conversation, Bhagwan began to describe the story of Vidyapati. I played the cassette and listened carefully, though it was not very clear. I could still follow the storyline. Bhagwan was saying that a devotee of Shiva, very, very devoted to Lord Shiva, and he was doing puja elaborately to Shiva and with such devotion. But then he needed a help. He wanted a boy, an errand boy, who could help him in the arrangement of the puja, especially for bringing water from the Ganges. The Ganges, the river Ganga, was a little far away. It took quite some time for him to go and bring. Soon a boy joined him, and the boy was so efficient that he was very brisk, very hardworking. He would arrange everything quickly, and then he would run away to bring Ganges water. And within minutes, he would bring it. In the beginning, Vidyapati did not notice it at all. But after some time, it struck him that this boy was extraordinary. How could he bring the Ganges water so quickly? the river was far away. So somehow a doubt entered his mind. One day he followed. He saw the boy, the errand boy, going up to the end of the street. And then what he saw there stunned him. He was simply overwhelmed. The boy had a tuft of hair, and all that he did was he shook his head a little forcefully, and then curls and curls of hair began to dance. And what was more, a spring of water began to flow from one of the strands on the scalp. He simply shook his head. That was all that he did. And to the surprise of Devaki, there was such dense hair, all matted, let loose now, dancing in the wind. And there was a spring of water. And all that this boy did was just hold the vessel, collect, and would walk. Then Vidyapati knew instantly it was none other than Lord Shiva who came to be his errand boy. So after Bhagwan completed the story, they once again fell into talking about so many things. And then Bhagwan concluded, you see, Lord Krishna, how beautiful he was, how he was relating to the devotees. And Krishna could even be a servant like Lord Shiva. And then he asked Mahalakshmi to sing the song. He came from somewhere. Nobody knows who he is. When he is asked, all that he says is that it's a cow herd. And what did he do? He has become the friend of the family. He runs all errands without grumbling. He looks after the children. He sings sweetly and puts them to sleep. He looks after the whole family like the eyelid would protect the eyes. The song ran like this, and Mahalakshmi sang in a very sweet voice. She had a very sweet voice, and Bhagwan always loved to hear her singing, especially this particular song. After she finished, Bhagwan started asking, Mahalakshmi, when Kannan comes and knocks at your door, will Mahalakshmi be sleeping? Or will she get up, rush to open the door? What would Mahalakshmi be doing if Kannan should come and knock at the door? And then he went into peals of laughter. He repeated the question again and again, accompanying it with cascading laughter. And when I heard it, I knew that it was meant for all of us. Sadhana is not only longing for darshan of God, it's also being alert, vigilant, always, ready. to welcome him when he knocks at the door. What a call it is. Now, we know that this Kali Yuga, it is the dark age. It means literally the dark age. And here everybody is in haste. Everybody seems to be in a hurry, going here and there. You take up some work, you have to do it fast. You have to, even eating, everything, every day's every work has to be done very quickly. No more the days of 1 hour lecture. People could hardly listen to 10-minute talk. Why? Because varieties of entertainment are available to people. The mind always wanders. It always wants newness. And it always wants varieties. Now the varieties are available just at one touch. So very few people could sit for half an hour or 1 hour to listen to any sermon. These are the days of tension and depression and counseling and medicines. Now, just think that whether nature will play along with us. When we want to hurry things, nature carries its own way. The flow of nature is very different. Now if you want a raw fruit, an unripe fruit, to become ripe very quickly, you know, there are artificial methods of ripening a fruit. But then what happens? It is at the loss of the sweetness of the fruit. The taste changes. I read a story some time back. There was this, what you call larva. You know the butterfly, before it becomes a butterfly, it is in the state of a worm and it is inside a cocoon. Now, once it matures, it would start breaking the shell and then makes an opening. It peeps out and then withdraws and peeps out and withdraws. In the meantime, it would have grown a little wing and it would flutter inside. These are all preparations for the butterfly, the young butterfly, to come out. It has grown out of that cocoon and it has to come out, breaking the shell. Now one little boy was watching the whole thing. He thought the worm was struggling to come out. It was unable to come out because he heard the flutter of the wings and the head of the worm peeping in and out. So he wanted to help. So he broke the shell open and let the worm out. Of course it came out happily, but then it fell down. It was unable to fly. His grandfather came that way and he saw the whole thing. The boy was sitting and crying. Why is it it's not flying? The grandfather said, my dear boy, you have spoiled it. You were in a hurry. You thought the worm was struggling and you wanted to help. And just see, all that struggle is necessary for its growth, for its own maturity. The flutter of the wings It struggled inside, yes, but he could add strength to the wings so that when the worm comes out as a butterfly, it would be able to fly with the strong wings. So it was making all attempts to get stronger before it came out, but you were in a hurry and you thought it was struggling and you rushed to help, and with the result, see, it cannot fly. What a pity. But this is what we are all doing. We interfere. In our haste, in our tension, we want things done very quickly. The whole world is doing today. So, Vivekananda says that the wings have to be very strong, and similarly, a man of willpower, he must have muscles of iron and nerves of steel, and an unshakable determination. Then he can achieve anything. Only such people can achieve anything at all. And he says, by exercising, you know, you go to the gym and you do all kinds of exercises there, and then you strengthen your body. But what about mind, the willpower? He says, only patience can strengthen one's nerves. If you want nerves of steel, the quality, what we call it's a divine virtue. Patience is a divine virtue, and only with patience you get strong nerves. This is what Swami Vivekananda says. I came across a poem, a beautiful prayer in Shukla Yajurveda. It says, Tejo Asi. You have Shakti, O God. You have Atma Shakti, the Shakti of your soul. You have the Shakti of discipline. You have the Shakti of the body. You have the Shakti of divinity. And you have the Shakti of valor and courage. And you have the Shakti of patience. Each one is a power by itself. So the prayer says, please give me Atma Shakti, because you are embodiment of this Atma Shakti. You are the embodiment of the Shakti of discipline. Please give me discipline. You are the embodiment of the divine Shakti. Please give me divinity. It goes on praying, and finally it says, you are the embodiment of valor, courage. Please give me that. And finally it says, the prayer says, you are the embodiment of patience. Please give me, equip me with patience. So, we have to be equipped with patience. We have to beg for patience, because we know in this Kali Yuga, everything is in a hurry. Everyone is in a hurry. Even eating, you just have to put something into the mouth and rush. So, what we need is wait for nature to work out. There were two boys. The father gave a seed to both of them. Said, you can plant it. Wait for 10 days, there will be a sprout. Now one boy, of course, put it deep inside the earth, poured water, and then he left it to nature. The other boy, of course, did the same thing, but every day morning he would become restless. He would dig it out and see if there is any sprout. And second day again, he would plant it again, and then next day he would take it out to see if there was any sprout. So day after day after day, he was taking it out and putting it back. Now, the 11th day, the other boy's seed had sprouted. It came out very nicely to the joy of everyone. But then the boy, who always took it out every day, there was no sprout, nothing. The boy started to cry. And then the grandpa came and pointed out, look, your father said you have to plant it and then leave it to nature. For the sprout, it needs the earth, it needs water, it needs sunlight. And all put together, the sprout comes out. But what did you do? After planting it every day, you are taking it out and watching it. So by doing it, you are spoiling it. You have spoiled it. But this is exactly what many of us do. We are so impatient, restless, full of tension, any work. We interfere too much with nature, with the result, we get only spoiled object, whatever it is that we do work with, it gets spoiled even before it starts to grow. Kabir says, Bhagwan quoted again, in one place Kabir says, Dhire dhire re mana, dhire sab kuch hoye. He says, everything happens slowly, gradually. In nature has its own plan. It unfolds in its own pace. A farmer, a gardener, may pour 100 pots of water, but only when the time comes, the fruit will come. Just because the farmer pours 100 pots of water, you can't expect a fruit on a tree. The tree will give its fruit only when the time comes. So you see, for everything, all the sufferings that we get, all the obstacles that come in the way of an achievement, they are meant for our work. They are meant for our achievement. They are meant for our spiritual growth. Just as the joy adds to our growth, equally the sorrow too. Joys and sorrows of life both equally contribute to our growth, our transformation. We cannot reject this as suffering, naming it negative. So this is what Bhagwan was trying to say, and Bhagwan repeatedly said, when Bhagwan said how Sabari, everybody knows the great woman Sabari who comes in our mind. She was a village woman from the rural area around, and she began to come to her guru's ashram, started to clean up the place of her own accord, and then she understood that there was a rishi there, and the rishi initiated her into Dharma. after seeing her sincerity and earnestness and devotion, he initiated her into Ramana, and he said, when he left the body, he said, look, you stay put here, you keep on chanting this Ramana, one day Rama will come and liberate you from the cycle of births and deaths. Until then you wait. He will surely come and liberate you. So Sabri, you know how many years she had to wait for Rama to come? But every day, she filled with cheer and expectation, joy and singing. She would gather flowers, decorate the pathway, and go pluck all those fruits, find out which one were the tastiest. And she waited. The day would pass without Rama's coming, but she was not to be put off. Next day morning again, so cheerfully she would get up and go about her Nama chanting, clean up the whole place, decorate for Rama's coming, day after day after day, month after month after month, year after year after year. Not a day she would miss decorating the pathway, preparing for Rama's coming. This is divine patience. It was patience accompanied by cheer, elation of the soul. It was the tapas that we all have to do. Wait for our time and wait cheerfully, hoping and hoping and hoping for the day. This is what Bhagwan was telling everybody, and this is the need of the hour, need of the age, the dark age, Kali age. So let us remember to take every obstacle which comes in the way of our achievement, every suffering that's given by God, everything comes only by divine will. God has already planned, He has already devised, designed your life. And He has designed it in such a way that every joy and every sorrow, every suffering is also a blessing to push you towards God. So remembering this, let us not hurry, let us learn patience and fill it with cheer and wait for the right moment. All these teachings of Bhagwan, we should remember always so that we don't have to hurry through life. We have to keep chanting Hari, Hari, Hari. H-A-R-I, not H-U-R-R-Y. Now this Bhagwan, who has taught all this to us, we shall appeal to His generosity and compassion and submit our today's prayer. Bhagwan, we know that everybody is tensed up for everything, even the little things upset people so quickly. Generally, the life is filled with tension. And the tension starts from LKG. The child is conditioned like this, right from LKG. So much to learn and so little time and all hard-pressed everywhere. We beg you, Bhagwan, to kindly intervene in the prevalent situation. And of course here, it is well deserved. The tension is now for life. Lives have been lost, livelihoods have been lost. Because of this corona situation, We beg you for your immediate divine intervention to free the entire humanity from the dreadful grip of this